Kenny, what's it like working with Jimmy Nichol?
He puts you at ease.
Yeah.
And I see that when people meet Jimmy for the first time, they warm to him because he's such an open, warm person.
Yes.
And he's good to be around.
Yes.
And he's perfect for me because you know, you can bounce off him, and he's got a good, honest way about him as well.
Yes. And did you grow up in Northern Ireland around about the same time?
We were born in the same year.
Is that right?
Yep, but I'm slightly older. I'm an April birthday and Jimmy's December. I'm not telling you the year, but you'll probably know anyway. And Jimmy, he lived in the biggest council estate in Europe at that time.
Wow.
Was Rathcoole. We were from working class backgrounds, both of us. So we've got that in common. People underestimate him. He's got a great knowledge of the sport. He's got a good way of knowing which buttons to press with people, and that's a big advantage. Sharp as a button. You know, I always thought I was a good counter till I met Jimmy, and he's way a bit above me.
He puts it to good use, does he?
He's university status. He should be a lecturer, but
In what?
in everything. But you get a lot of life skills, and you know, Jimmy was. We were totally different environments. I was a country, and he was suburban city type.
And can you tell us a bit about faith? What faith background you come from, and anybody who was particularly influential?
Yeah, my faith comes from my mum, my mother. She heard me calling her mum, she'd go mad. That's an English terminology. But my mother was so dominant in our lives because she's the most amazing woman you ever met in your life. If you could imagine a house in the country with 11 people, outdoor toilet, bathed on a Saturday night in a tin bath downstairs, and we walked a mile and a mile and a half into the town to Sunday school. My mother was, and still is, she's 88, a diamond, unbelievable. And she's got great faith and her Presbyterian background. And when I get into trouble with referees or whatever it is, I feel for her because that's totally, she blames me sometimes, even when it's not my fault. She doesn't know. And she phoned me up and she was in a bad way. So I have to think of her a little bit more. But she's the rock. She was the rock. My father's passed away in 1992. But my mother's, if you knew what she had to do to bring us up, it's amazing the way my father, he was football mad, and he would go to the pub on a Saturday night and come home after match of the day and play football with us. So I was always called, "Number 4, son." He'd go to the matches and say, "Pass to number 4, son, number 4, son, get on the ball." There was 11 in this house. And when you're waking up in the morning, there's a pair of feet, not that clean, to one side, and a pair of feet to the other side. So there was 3 and 4 in a bed in our sleeping quarters. It was immense. And then you get up, and the first up got a pair of socks with no holes in them, and God, and the gutties, we call them gutties then, you know, they're called training shoes now.
Yeah.
So you got your gutties on, and they were worn away, and God help my mother, she tried to dress us, and she was very proud that you went to Sunday school with the right clothes on, and you were neat and tidy, shirt and tie.
And tragically, one of your brothers was killed, Kenny. And, you know, I could imagine from that sort of background there being a bitterness. But I've not detected that in you at all.
Macará was totally divided. The middle of the town, you had a road that goes through the middle of the town, and it was on a slope. And the top of the town was all Catholic, and the bottom of the town was all Protestant. And we lived a mile outside the town to the bottom end of the town. But my father was the only Protestant really that drank in a Catholic pub. He was so well respected because he was an auctioneer, he was a councillor, and he got Catholics houses way back in the 60s. He got them houses, and he looked after Protestants and Catholics. So he was very middle of the road. He was a unionist councillor, and he got great respect from both people. And it's so ironical, the people that came to murder Dave, if they had had that foreknowledge, the type of family we were, probably wouldn't have changed things, but they would have understood what my father was about and what way he brought up his family. It's so ironical that it happened to the one family, not saying we're the only family, but the one family that was less slanted to another side. And it was incredible, Macará, because you couldn't go into the areas. People over here don't understand. You couldn't go into a Catholic area, but we could, because what my father did to enhance that Catholic Protestant support, he started a football team, and it's the only occasion in these young Catholic and young Protestants' lives that they got mixing, because they had a Gaelic sport, so Gaelic was all Catholic. But my father started a schoolboys football team, and it was half and half. I don't know the exact figures, but maybe, say, 16 would be 8 Protestant, 8 Catholic, and he always tried to make it balanced. And we started to mix, and I've developed so many friendships from there. And it was hurtful. Apart from, there's no bitterness towards the Catholic people from us as a family.
Kenny, you're great at integrating the youth into the squad. What's behind all of that? Because you do take risks, don't you?
Your church is a focal point of the community, and I can draw parallels with what you do with your church and your people in what a football club should be, what a factory should be, a Johnny Walker's factory. It should be there to service the community and bring people together. And then when they do their week's work, I feel as if a community should have a common bond. And I'm maybe old-fashioned, but I think a football team, because it's the most popular sport in Scotland, and it's the one that connects with the working class more than any other sport, because it got me through my life in Northern Ireland, because it connected Catholics and Protestants, and it connected communities. Football did. Gaelic didn't, rugby didn't. Rugby was more middle class, but football brought working class together from my background in Northern Ireland. So maybe that's why. And I think a big connection to that is young people, the youth. With me having worked with a lot of young players and helped their careers, the Johnny Evanses and Chris Brunt, and they've now went on to be famous footballers, and Steve Davis, Kyle Lafferty, all those kids. And I feel a great sense of pride, and that would have made a contribution. And now I've did it at Tranmere, and they've 4 or 5 of those kids are playing for Tranmere now, which makes me feel I've connected there and I've served that well. Now at Kilmarnock, I've came to a town that is so in need of that. In the district, they're so in need of young Kris from Prestwick, Troon area, young Matthew Kennedy from down there, young Rory McKenzie from down that way, Mark O'Hara, Ross Barber from Troon. And I can see, like on Sunday past, we played, there was 10 of the 16 have came through our youth academy, albeit, young Jude Winchester are fostered, and William Gross has learned his football here. He came from Reunion Island, so he's had to get a lot of tutelage and a lot of teaching. Jude Winchester, Rory McKeown, they haven't came to us prepared and ready. So our youth system has to take some credit for that. And then you've got Kris Boyd, Gary Hay, Cammy Bell, James Fowler, the captain. So we had 10 of the 16 that came through that. And that's great. And that's my 5-year plan. So it's came, but eventually I want ones that have come right through.
Kenny, one of the highlights, obviously, of your career was winning the League Cup final exactly a year ago, and yet it was a bittersweet experience with Liam Kelly's dad tragically dying at the final whistle.
My father was football mad, and he wasn't there. But when it happened, I was thinking, oh my God. I felt so selfish, because I'm seeing my son
Lift the cup, yeah.
And my son was able to perform with his father there to watch the whole event, right through the epilogue and everything. And I felt, why was Liam deprived of that? And there was something else quite significant in that final that no one knew about, and I felt for him, was Dieter van Tornhout. and it was his birthday. His father was terminally ill. He had it was a matter of weeks left to live, and he knew that. So there was 3 fathers involved in that when I thought about it, and I thought about it all that night, and I thought about Dieter. You know, what was he not thinking? And he had the pleasure to share that with his father. Do you know what I mean? Even though he was terminally ill, and for a short period of his life, he had that, the father I'm talking about. So he had that little bit of joy, the last big part of his life. And I had it with my son. And Liam's father, that was taken away from him. Can you imagine how Liam felt and how his father felt?
Faith does bring a bigger perspective, doesn't it? It's often when our faces are rubbed in the mud, so to speak, of a tragedy, that we don't have a bigger perspective, and it's time that takes to heal it often. And faith does bring it brings a bigger story, doesn't it?
I think what faith brings, and I'm sure you preach it all the time, it brings an injustice. Quite often there's an injustice with faith where that's been sent as a strengthening mechanism and a resolve for you to understand that because you have faith doesn't mean that it's going to be plain sailing. There's going to be periods of where you have felt that it's unjustified. Why has that happened? Why have I lost my brother? Why has Dieter lost his father? Why has Liam lost his father? You know, you think all of those things. Why is that? That's not fair. These are good people. And, you know, there's an unjustness.
When there was that lovely moment at Parkhead when Killie managed to beat Celtic 2-0, and was that planned, that if there was a penalty, Liam was going to stand up?
Not necessarily, no, it wasn't. And Paul wasn't playing that day, but Liam took the penalties in the previous game, I think, and he was right up there to take the pen. And it sort of like his father was a Celtic supporter, ironically, so I think that was Liam getting his own back.
Yeah, it was great. It was lovely. It was lovely how Manuel Pascali, our captain, you know, and company just wrapped his arms around Liam, and there was just a very poignant moment there.
It was very poignant, yeah. And it was good.
Yeah,
it was really good for Liam. It's difficult to ask a football manager what his aspirations are, because it's going to be football. But your legacy has to be that you treat people fairly, and you're remembered for that more than anything, probably.
There's a verse in Micah that comes to mind, you know, seek justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God.
Yes.
And that sounds like the sort of stuff that you're very much about.
I think humility is the greatest quality that a man can have. If you can keep humility, then you're a good person. You know, that's what I feel, and it's important that we do that. And I see that in Jimmy Nichol a lot. He's a very humble person. He's played for 2 of the biggest clubs in the world, and he still takes time out to speak to everybody and the kids. And there's a lot of me and Jimmy that are similar in terms where we don't walk past people, and we
Values.
Yeah, values are very, very strong. Yeah. We're good.
Good, thanks.
What's happening?
Well,
18th, is it 18th?
18th of March, I'm afraid Kenny can't manage, so you're going to be on your own.
Oh, we ain't catch yourself on, Rev. You're
Honestly,
joking.
No, honestly, so we're just doing a wee interview, and
Jimmy, you know I told you. I have already told you.
Yeah, I know that, but I thought, well, so why aren't we cancelling it? If the manager's not going to be there, why aren't we cancelling it?
because you're the main man, Jimmy.
Oh, do you think so?
Oh, absolutely.
Not when it comes to talking about whatever you're going to be talking about, I'll tell you now.
Yeah,
Where are you off?
I'm not allowed to say.
Anyway,
Not allowed to say.
never mind. It's just news to me.
I told you wouldn't be there. Then I didn't say the 18th. I forgot all about the 18th, honestly.
Oh, I know what you're talking about now. Hold on, there's my phone. Hold on.
It's the anniversary.
Hello? Yes. It's a captain of the EasyJet flight to Tenerife. Oh, it's delayed. It's been cancelled.
It's changed to the
It's been
20th.
cancelled to Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning?
Tuesday 19th.
That means you can manage.
So the
Kenny.
Sunday night, sorry, what was that? Oh, Rev, will you stop talking when I'm talking? So the Sunday night flight to Tenerife has been cancelled on Tuesday morning, the 19th. Okay, I'll pass that message on. The I am jolly, yes, okay, alright.
You're tempting fit, Jimmy, you're tempting fit. That's
That
what will happen.
means you
Does that
can
answer that
come.
one?
That's sorted.
Well, the people have to wait to see on the night, but I'd expect the manager to be there now, so.
I'll be there with my heart and soul, but I'll not be there with my body. How's that?
Is this the body you're in that
Have you been practicing this, have you?
It's just the body
Out
in
of
the
body
gym every day,
experience.
you know. It keeps telling me I should be in that gym. I know.
Jimmy's in the gym every morning.
Is that right?
The Shavy's alright. The Shavy needs any water or anything. I never do anything else other than that. You
Jimmy.
alright in there? Are you alright?
Jimmy goes in the jacuzzi every morning. Every
No, I
morning.
don't. No, I'm going to Mercedes. I used to have a jacuzzi. That was the first Japanese car.
That's what Paul was the one about. What was the one about Paul Gascoigne? I remember that joke.
No, I was when he signed for Spurs.
What was it he said?
And the Terry Venables, and the door goes, and Gascoigne walks in. And no, Richard Gough walked in, was it? Richard Gough walked in and says, alright Gaff, is that, have you sorted that cortisone injection out? And Gascoigne says, how come he's got a cortisone injection now when he got a Mercedes? I want a cortisone injection as well.
So what's it like working?
Anyway,
with,
what's happening?
What's it like working with Kenny, Jimmy?
Every single day is a mystery what's going on.
We don't know.
He's up and down and up and down. And I get in here about 9:15 every morning. He's in from 6:30, 7:15. And that's it. It's just getting him sitting down for 10 minutes because he's away doing laptop, watching the games, doing his paperwork, in the bike, taking calls from agents, press, ministers.
That's right. The
There's a
Rev
list of
man.
ministers. And by the way, I've seen that list of ministers.
You're way down the pecking order.
that
Nate.
right?
Unless it was upside down, your name's at the bottom now.
You're way down the pecking order.
Well, Urquhart usually is.
You know, he's got the Reverend Ian, top of the list. Was he? Hey, was he?
Reverend Brian, not O'Brien, Brian.
Oh, so that's it. So we just get about our work and get him sitting down for 10-15 minutes, get ourselves organised, and then that's us up and running the way to work, and he enjoys what he's doing on the training pitch, and then he loves these wee daft quizzes in the morning, you know.
Yeah.
He forgets that he's on the laptop, and then he asks you these things, what's the third biggest city in Britain, as if he knows, but he's been on a laptop all morning, and then we've got to guess the population, what city it is.
And the laptop's wrong.
And
The laptop's wrong.
so, well, just carry on. So,
Yeah,
no, it's all right.
he does pretend to be educated, doesn't he?
Pretends is right.
Well,
Pretends.
it depends what company's in it.
That's
Doesn't
right.
have to pretend in our company because
What do you think of this system for Saturday, Neil? What should we do? You know the way you always help us to pick the team on a Friday.
Well,
Will we play Kris Boyd? What do you think? Should we play Kris Boyd against St Johnstone?
I would bring him on.
Right, we'll bring him on then. What else should we do? First 20 minutes, what should we go?
Well, I quite like your 4-5-2
two.
job.
That's 11.
That was the last system he picked up. Was
How many fingers have you got?
You fell in that one, did you not?
Or even 4-4-3
4-4-3 as well,
or 4-4-2.
I said that to a coach one time. What team would you play? And he, 4-3-4.
I think I'll leave it to you guys. I think.
No, well, it's not the first time you've picked the team this season.
Well, of
You've
course.
influenced us.
Of course.
Well, he surprised me with that remark that he said about bringing Boydie on. There was no way he would have wanted Boydie to start after what Boydie did to him this morning.
What did he
Right
do?
enough, he
Oh,
did.
we're in the boxes. And Boydie just took him out.
7. Oh, go on, they're out. 8. 9.
He nutmeg
We're
me.
playing one touch, nutmeg, and when he took you out with a tackle.
Whiffed.
He did. He done
I thought it was
didn't
a
he?
2-footed tackle, was it not?
Two-footed tackle.
Boydie's an Ayrshire lad, you know.
He
Can't
is.
be any more
He
than
is.
two, Rev, you know. Couldn't have
He's-
been a three-footed tackle.
Well, I remember Boyd. In fact, during the pre-season training, I used to have better recovery rate than Boydie.
Did you?
Uh-huh.
No, that doesn't surprise me.
It's amazing, isn't it? All that wine you drink on a Sunday too.